The alarm bells rang across every major space station in the galaxy. Red lights flashed in emergency patterns that meant only one thing: total war. Admiral HFY of the Galactic Council stood before the massive communication array on Station Prime, his blue-scaled hands shaking as he prepared to send a message that would change everything. Behind him, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 47 different species argued in their native languages. Some clicked, others chirped, and a few communicated through color changes on their skin. But they all said the same thing in their own way. They were losing. The war, the Vorthak had awakened. For 3,000 years, the ancient species had slept in the dark regions of space. Old stories called them the first builders, the ones who had created much of the technology the younger races now used. Most people thought they were myths, but 3 months ago, their massive ships had appeared without warning. The first attack came at the Kepler system. 12 colonies, home to over 50 million beings, were simply gone. Not destroyed, gone. The planets remained, but every living thing on them had vanished. The Vorthak ships had used some kind of weapon that the Council scientists could not understand. The second attack hit the military stronghold at Rigel. The Council's finest battle fleet was waiting there. 200 ships with the best weapons and shields the galaxy could build. The battle lasted less than an hour. Only 3 ships escaped, and their crews could barely speak about what they had seen. The third attack was the worst. The Vorthak struck at New Terra, the diplomatic center where peace treaties were signed and trade agreements were made. This time, they left survivors. But those survivors carried a message that made Admiral HFY's blood run cold. The message was simple: submit or join the void. Now the Council faced the truth. Their combined fleets were not enough. Their technology was like children's toys compared to what the Vorthak possessed. Traditional warfare had failed completely. They needed something different, something desperate. Admiral HFY activated the emergency broadcast system. His message would reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. Every species would hear it. Every government would have to make a choice. People of the galaxy, he began, his voice steady despite his fear. The Galactic Council faces extinction. The ancient Vorthak have returned and our military forces cannot stop them. We have lost 3 major battles. Entire star systems have fallen. He paused, looking at the council members behind him. They had debated this message for hours. Some called it madness. Others said it was their only hope. We need warriors, HFY continued. Not soldiers, not peacekeepers. We need killers. Each species must send us their deadliest individuals. Those who have taken life without hesitation. Those who know no mercy. Those who can do what trained military cannot. The message was broadcast in over 200 languages. It reached the ice worlds of the Krill, where silicon-based beings fought with bodies harder than steel. It reached the cloud cities of the ethereals, where psychic beings could kill with a thought. It reached the jungle planets of the Saurians, where genetic engineering had created perfect predators. And it reached a small blue world on the edge of the galaxy. A world that most council members barely remembered existed. A world called Earth. On Earth, the message arrived at the Global Defense Network headquarters in Geneva. Colonel Sarah Chen was working late when the communication came through. She had been with the Earth Defense Force for 20 years, ever since humanity had made first contact with the Galactic Council. Earth was still considered a junior member of the Council. Humans had only been in space for a few decades. Most alien species saw them as primitive and weak. Earth's military was small and used technology that was considered outdated by galactic standards. But as Colonel Chen listened to the message, she understood something that made her stomach turn. The Council was not asking for Earth's best soldiers. They were asking for something much worse. She called an emergency meeting with the Earth Defense Council. Within 6 hours, representatives from every major nation were connected through quantum communication links. The debate was intense. They want our special forces, said General Morrison from the North American Union. Our Navy SEALs, our Delta Force, our best trained operators. No, replied Director Yumiko from the Pacific Alliance. They said Deadliest. That could mean our enhanced soldiers, the ones with genetic modifications. Colonel Chen shook her head. You are all missing the point. They did not ask for soldiers. They asked for killers. People who have taken life without military training or orders. People who kill because they can. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what she meant, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. You mean criminals, said President Hassan from the African Federation. Murderers and assassins. I mean people who scare other people, Chen replied. The Galactic Council has military forces. They have weapons and technology we can barely understand, but they are losing. They need something their enemies do not expect. The debate continued for hours. Some representatives argued that sending criminals would make humanity look barbaric. Others worried about what would happen if those people came back to Earth. But as reports came in from across the galaxy, the situation became clear. The Vorthak were winning every battle. Their ships were destroying entire fleets. Their weapons could erase life from planets. If they were not stopped, every species in the galaxy would die or become slaves. Dr. Martinez from the European Union raised the question everyone was thinking. Who would we even send? What kind of person fits this request? Colonel Chen had already prepared a list. She had spent years studying Earth's criminal databases, not for law enforcement, but for military intelligence. She knew about people who operated in shadows, people who made other criminals afraid. We have options, she said. Marcus Rivera, who eliminated 17 rival cartel leaders in 6 months. Dr. Elena Kozlov, who used her medical knowledge to kill over 30 people before being caught. James Park, who survived as a child soldier in 3 different wars. Anna Walsh, who caused industrial accidents that killed thousands. The room was quiet again. These were not the kind of people governments usually worked with. They were the kind of people governments tried to stop. There are more, Chen continued. Death row inmates who have never shown remorse. Assassins working for intelligence agencies. People who have crossed lines that normal soldiers cannot cross. President Hassan spoke carefully. And you think these people would help us? I think they would help themselves, Chen replied. We offer them what they want most: freedom, full pardons, a chance to use their skills without being hunted. The vote was close, but it passed. Earth would respond to the Galactic Council's call, but they would not send their best people. They would send their worst. They would send the humans that other humans feared most. As the meeting ended, Colonel Chen looked at the list of names on her screen. 200 people who had chosen to abandon the rules that held society together. People who killed not because they had to, but because they could. She wondered if the galaxy understood what it was asking for. She wondered if humanity was about to save the galaxy or damn it. But one thing was certain. Earth's deadliest humans would answer the call of duty. The maximum security prison on Luna was quieter than usual. Word had spread among the inmates that something big was happening. Guards moved with purpose through the corridors, and several high-security cells had been opened for the first time in years. Marcus Rivera sat in his cell reading when the guards came for him. He had been expecting this visit ever since the prison's communication systems had gone dark 12 hours ago. Marcus was not like other prisoners. He read philosophy, books, and spoke 4 languages. But he was also the reason 17 men had died in brutal ways across 3 countries. Rivera, the guard said, you have visitors. Marcus smiled. He had not had visitors in 5 years, not since his former associates had all ended up dead or in prison themselves. He followed the guards through corridors he had not seen since his arrival. They led him to a room he did not know existed. Colonel Chen was waiting for him, along with 2 other people he did not recognize. On the table between them was a tablet showing news feeds from across the galaxy. Videos of destroyed fleets and empty planets played silently. Mr. Rivera, Chen said. I'm Colonel Chen from Earth Defense. We have an offer for you. Marcus sat down slowly. He had learned not to trust offers, especially from military officers. What kind of offer? The kind that gets you out of this cell, Chen replied. Permanently. She explained the situation. The alien war, the call for Earth's deadliest humans, the chance to fight an enemy that threatened all life in the galaxy. Marcus listened without speaking. He had heard stranger stories, but not many. "You want me to fight aliens," he said when she finished. "We want you to do what you do best," Chen replied. "Eliminate targets that other people cannot eliminate." Marcus looked at the tablet again. The video showed massive ships and weapons that seemed impossible. "What makes you think humans can fight these things?" "Because they fight like soldiers," Chen said, "with rules and honor codes. You do not fight like a soldier." Marcus understood. He had spent years studying his targets, learning their habits and weaknesses. He did not attack them head-on. He found their fears and used them. He made them afraid before he killed them. "Full pardon?" he asked. "Full pardon. New identity if you want it. Money to start over anywhere you choose." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He looked at his hands, which had ended so many lives. Then he looked at the videos of empty planets. "When do we leave?" Similar conversations were happening across the planet. In a black site prison in Siberia, Dr. Elena Kozlov was being offered the same deal. She had been a surgeon once, one of the best in Europe. But she had used her medical knowledge to kill people in ways that left no evidence. The authorities had only caught her because she had started keeping trophies. Elena was different from Marcus. Where he was calm and calculating, she was intense and curious. She asked detailed questions about alien biology and anatomy. She wanted to know how different species felt pain, how their bodies worked, what would frighten them most. "You understand," the Russian officer explained. "This is not about healing. This is about causing harm." Elena smiled for the first time in 3 years. "I understand perfectly." In Seoul, James Park was pulled from solitary confinement. He had been 8 years old when war had destroyed his village. He had survived by learning to kill quickly and quietly. By the time he was 16, 3 different armies had tried to recruit him. By the time he was 20, he was wanted by international law enforcement. James did not ask many questions. He had spent his whole life fighting wars started by other people. This was just another war. The only difference was that this time, he was fighting for everyone instead of just himself. Anna Walsh was harder to convince. She was serving time in a corporate prison facility, the kind that did not officially exist. She had spent 15 years causing accidents that killed thousands of people while making corporations billions of dollars. Chemical spills, bridge collapses, factory explosions, all carefully planned to look like accidents. "Why should I help? You?" she asked the CIA operative who came to see her. "The galaxy never helped me." "Because if the galaxy dies, Earth dies with it," he replied. "And dead planets do not have stock markets or corporate profits." Anna thought about this. She had always been motivated by money and power. But she also understood systems and how they failed. The galactic system was failing, and that meant everything she had worked for would be destroyed. "I want guarantees," she said. "Not just freedom. I want resources. I want access to the new markets that will exist after this war." Done. One by one. Earth's most dangerous humans were recruited. They came from death rows and maximum security prisons. They came from intelligence agencies and criminal organizations. They came from places where normal people never went and did not want to know about. Dr. Hassan Qureshi had been a biochemist before he started creating weapons that killed in horrible ways. Maria Santos had been a psychologist before she learned how to break people's minds. Viktor Petrov had been a computer programmer before he started using technology to destroy lives from thousands of miles away. Each of them was offered the same deal: freedom in exchange for service, a chance to use their skills for something bigger than themselves. Most of them accepted not because they wanted to save the galaxy, but because they wanted to be free to continue being what they were. Colonel Chen watched as the recruitment continued. She kept detailed files on each person they approached, their psychological profiles, their methods, their motivations. She needed to understand what kind of people she was working with. The psychologists warned her that these individuals could not be trusted. They were sociopaths and psychopaths who had no empathy for other people. They would not follow orders like normal soldiers. They might turn on their allies without warning. But Chen understood something the psychologists did not. These people were not broken soldiers. They were predators who had learned to hunt the most dangerous prey of all, other humans. And now they would hunt something even more dangerous. The final recruitment meeting was held in a secure facility in Nevada. 200 of Earth's deadliest humans were brought together for the first time. The atmosphere was tense. Many of them recognized each other from news reports or criminal networks. Old enemies found themselves sitting in the same room. Chen addressed them as a group. She explained the mission, the enemy, and what would be expected of them. She did not appeal to their patriotism or sense of duty. Instead, she appealed to their pride. The galaxy thinks humans are weak, she said. They think we are primitive and helpless. They asked for our deadliest people because they are desperate, not because they believe in us. You have a chance to prove them wrong. Marcus Rivera spoke up from the back of the room. What makes you think we will work together? Most of us have spent years trying to kill each other. Chen smiled. Because you all understand something that normal people do not. You understand that sometimes survival requires doing things that others cannot do. The Vorthak are an extinction-level threat. If they win, there will be no Earth to return to. No freedom to enjoy. No new identities to hide behind. The room was quiet. Chen could see them thinking, calculating the odds. These were people who had spent their lives making risk assessments about life and death. Besides, Chen added, you will not be working together. You will be working with alien soldiers who have never seen anything like human warfare. You will be the wild cards in a game where everyone else follows rules. Dr. Kozlov raised her hand. What happens if we succeed? What happens if we save the galaxy? Then you become legends, Chen replied. The humans who saved everything. The deadliest people who became heroes. The vote was unanimous. All 200 accepted the mission. As they prepared to leave Earth, Chen realized she had created something unprecedented. Not an army, but a collection of human weapons pointed at an enemy that had never faced anything like them. She wondered if the galaxy was ready for Earth's answer to their call for help. The staging area on Kepler Station was massive. Built into an asteroid, it could hold ships and troops from dozens of species. As the human transport docked, Marcus Rivera looked through the viewport and saw something that made him whistle softly. Thousands of alien warriors filled the central assembly area. The Zephyrian Blade Masters stood in perfect formation, their silver armor gleaming under the artificial lights. Each one was over 7 feet tall and moved with the grace of natural dancers. Their weapons were energy blades that could cut through almost any material. Near them, the Krill warrior drones waited in complete silence. Their silicon-based bodies looked like living machines made of black crystal. They did not need to breathe or eat, and their internal computers could calculate battle strategies faster than most organic minds could think. The ethereal assassins floated above the ground, their translucent bodies shifting between visible and invisible. They communicated through telepathy and could kill enemies by attacking their minds directly. Even looking at them made Marcus feel uncomfortable, and everywhere there were saurian apex hunters. Genetic engineering had made them perfect predators. They were faster than cheetahs, stronger than gorillas, and their enhanced senses could track prey across continents. Their claws could tear through steel, and their teeth contained venom that could paralyze enemies in seconds. Impressive, said Dr. Kozlov, who had moved up beside Marcus. So many different ways to kill. Marcus nodded. He had spent his career studying human predators, but these aliens were something else entirely. They were designed for warfare in ways that humans could never be. The human group was escorted to their assigned quarters. As they walked through the station, Marcus noticed how the alien warriors watched them. There was no fear in their eyes, only curiosity and perhaps disappointment. The humans looked small and weak compared to the massive aliens around them. Their quarters were basic, but comfortable. The station's artificial gravity was set to galactic standard, which was slightly lighter than Earth normal. The human group was given a section of the station that was separate from the alien forces. Colonel Chen had remained on Earth, but she had sent Major Harrison to oversee the human contingent. Harrison was a career military officer who clearly did not like working with criminals and killers. He called a meeting as soon as they were settled. "Listen carefully," Harrison said. "You are representing Earth here. These alien warriors are our allies. You will treat them with respect. You will follow orders. You will not cause incidents." Marcus looked around the room at his fellow humans. He saw Anna Walsh examining the alien technology in the walls. He saw James Park testing the balance of an alien weapon someone had left behind. He saw Dr. Kozlov taking notes about the alien physiology she had observed. None of them looked like they were planning to follow orders. The first joint training exercise was scheduled for the next day. The humans were assigned to work with a mixed unit of Zephyrian blade masters and Saurian hunters. The scenario was simple: infiltrate an enemy position and eliminate the targets inside. The alien warriors approached the exercise with military precision. They studied the target building, analyzed the defensive positions, and developed a tactical plan. The blade masters would attack from the front while the Saurians flanked from the sides. It was textbook military strategy. Marcus and his team listened to the plan, then ignored it completely. While the aliens prepared their assault, Marcus sent Anna Walsh to investigate the building's power systems. She found that the simulation's environmental controls could be hacked. Within minutes, she had turned off the air circulation and raised the temperature to dangerous levels. Dr. Kozlov used her medical knowledge to analyze the alien defenders. She realized they were a species that was sensitive to certain frequencies of sound. She rigged a communication device to broadcast those frequencies, causing the defenders to become disoriented and sick. James Park did not bother with complex plans. He simply found a maintenance tunnel that led directly into the building. While the aliens were preparing their coordinated assault, he had already reached the target area. The exercise was over in minutes. The alien defenders were incapacitated by the sound frequencies and heat. The human team eliminated them while they were helpless. The blade masters and Saurians were still preparing their attack when the simulation ended. The alien warriors were confused and angry. This was not how warfare was supposed to work. There was no honor in attacking helpless enemies. There was no skill in using environmental systems as weapons. But the exercise results were clear. The humans had completed the mission with 0 casualties in a fraction of the expected time. Commander Vex High, a Zephyrian officer, confronted Major Harrison after the exercise. His tall frame towered over the human officer, and his energy blade hummed with controlled power. "Your people do not fight with honor," Vex High said. "They use tricks and deception instead of skill and courage." Harrison tried to explain, but Marcus interrupted. "Honor does not win wars," he said calmly. "Results win wars." The tension in the room increased. Several alien warriors moved closer, their hands reaching for weapons. But Marcus did not back down. "You asked for Earth's deadliest humans," he continued. "We are not here to make you comfortable. We are here to kill your enemies." The second training exercise was more complex, a large-scale battle simulation with multiple objectives and enemy forces. The alien commanders decided to keep the humans separate from their main forces. They would be assigned simple support roles while the real warriors handled the important missions. This was exactly what Marcus had expected. He gathered the human team and explained their real mission. "They think we are incompetent," he said. "They want us to stay out of their way. So we will show them what happens when humans are underestimated." The battle simulation began. The alien forces attacked the enemy positions with their usual tactics: coordinated strikes, honorable combat, and superior technology. They were winning, but slowly and at great cost. Meanwhile, the humans had vanished from their assigned positions. Anna Walsh had hacked into the simulation's control systems and was feeding false information to the enemy commanders. Dr. Kozlov was using psychological warfare, broadcasting disturbing images and sounds that confused and terrified the enemy forces. James Park had taken a small team and was attacking the enemy's supply lines. Instead of fighting the defenders, They poisoned the food and water supplies. Enemy troops began collapsing from illness instead of battle wounds. Viktor Petrov used his computer skills to take control of enemy vehicles and turn them against their own forces. Maria Santos was spreading rumors and false orders that caused enemy units to attack each other. The alien warriors found themselves winning battles they had not fought. Enemy positions surrendered without explanation. Supply lines collapsed for no apparent reason. Communications broke down and panic spread through the enemy ranks. When the simulation ended, the alien commanders were stunned. They had achieved total victory with minimal casualties, but they did not understand how. Commander Vexhai reviewed the battle recordings with growing horror. He watched humans doing things that violated every principle of honorable warfare. They fought without rules, without mercy, and without any regard for the conventions that had governed galactic conflict for millennia. "This is not warfare," he said to Major Harrison. "This is terrorism. This is survival," Harrison replied, though he looked uncomfortable with what he had seen. The alien warriors began to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. They had asked for Earth's deadliest humans, expecting to receive skilled soldiers who would follow military protocols. Instead, they had received predators who saw warfare as a game with no rules. But as reports came in from the front lines, the alien commanders faced a disturbing truth. The Vorthak were still winning every conventional battle. Their superior technology and tactics were overwhelming the galaxy's finest military forces. Maybe rules and honor were luxuries they could no longer afford. That night, Marcus sat in his quarters cleaning a knife he had acquired from a Saurian trader. Dr. Kozlov knocked on his door and entered without waiting for permission. "The aliens are afraid of us," she said. "Good," Marcus replied. "Fear is a useful tool. They think we are monsters." Marcus looked up from his knife. "We are monsters. That is why we are here." Dr. Kozlov smiled. "I think I am going to enjoy this war." Outside their window, the massive alien fleet prepared for the journey to Vorthak space. Thousands of ships carrying the galaxy's finest warriors and most advanced weapons. But in one small section of one transport ship, 200 humans planned and prepared for a different kind of war. A war without rules, without honor, and without mercy. The kind of war that humans had always been good at. The Vorthak command ship was larger than most space stations. Its dark hull stretched for miles, covered in weapons that could destroy planets. Ancient symbols glowed along its surface, marking it as a vessel of the first builders. To the galaxy's military forces, it represented everything they feared about the enemy. To Marcus Rivera, it looked like a very large target. The Joint Strike Force had traveled for 6 days to reach this sector. Intelligence reports indicated that the command ship contained the Vorthak Leadership Council and their primary tactical computers. If it could be destroyed, the entire Vorthak war machine would be crippled. The plan was complex and relied on precise coordination between multiple species. The ethereal assassins would use their psychic abilities to disable the ship's mental defenses. The Krill warrior drones would breach the hull and establish beachheads. The Zephyrian blade masters would fight through the corridors to reach the command center. The Saurian hunters would secure escape routes and eliminate any Vorthak who tried to flee. The humans had been assigned a support role. They would remain with the transport ships and provide backup if needed. Major Harrison had argued for a more active role, but the alien commanders had been firm. This was too important to risk on unproven tactics. Marcus watched the alien forces deploy through the transport's sensors. Thousands of warriors in perfectly coordinated formation, approaching the enemy ship with military precision. It was beautiful and doomed. The Vorthak were waiting for them. The first indication of trouble came when the ethereal assassins suddenly stopped moving. Their translucent forms became solid and fell to the deck of their transport ships. The psychic attack they had attempted had been reversed, turning their own mental powers against them. The Krill warrior drones reached the enemy hull and began cutting through the armor with plasma torches. But as soon as they made contact, the ship's defensive systems activated. Energy fields surrounded each drone, trapping them in force cages that their silicon bodies could not break. The Zephyrian blade masters tried to use their energy weapons to cut the drones free, but the Vorthak had been expecting that too. Counterweapons emerged from hidden ports and began targeting the Blade Masters with precise beam attacks. Within 30 minutes, the alien assault force was decimated. The survivors retreated to their transport ships, carrying wounded comrades, and reports of impossible defenses. The Vorthak had not just won the battle, they had made it look easy. Commander Vex-High was wounded but alive. He had led the Blade Master assault personally and barely escaped when his entire unit was wiped out. He found Major Harrison in the transport's medical bay and grabbed him by the uniform. "Your people," Vex-High said, his voice weak from blood. "Send them now, we have lost." Harrison looked at the tactical displays. The alien forces were in full retreat. The Vorthak ship was undamaged and moving to pursue them. In 6 hours, their entire fleet would be destroyed. "They are not soldiers," Harrison warned. "They will not follow military protocols." "Good," Vex-High replied. "Military protocols just got everyone killed." Marcus gathered the human team in the transport's cargo bay. He had been watching the battle and studying the Vorthak responses. While the aliens had seen superior technology and impossible defenses, Marcus had seen patterns and weaknesses. "They fight like soldiers," he told the group. "Everything they do follows military logic. They predicted our tactics because they think like military commanders." Dr. Kozlov raised her hand. "What about their technology? Those force fields and energy weapons?" "Technology has limits," Anna Walsh said. She had been studying the ship's schematics since they arrived. "Every system needs power. Every computer has vulnerabilities. Every defense can be turned into a weakness." James Park was cleaning his weapons with calm efficiency. "What is the real mission?" Marcus smiled. "The real mission is to make them afraid. The Vorthak think they understand warfare. They think they can predict every move and counter every attack. We are going to show them something they have never seen before." The human team approached the Vorthak ship differently than the aliens had. Instead of a direct assault, they used the debris from the failed attack as cover. Anna Walsh had rigged small explosive charges to pieces of wreckage, creating a field of hidden mines around the enemy ship. Dr. Kozlov was broadcasting on frequencies that the Vorthak used for internal communications. But instead of trying to hack their systems, she was sending them recordings of human screams and disturbing images from Earth's history. Psychological warfare designed to create fear and confusion. Viktor Petrov had found a way to tap into the ship's sensor network. He was not trying to control it, just to observe. He watched Vorthak crew members moving through the corridors and noted their patterns. Then he began feeding false sensor data that made them think enemies were in places where nothing existed. Maria Santos was doing what she did best, spreading chaos. She had recorded the voices of Vorthak officers during the earlier battle and was now using those recordings to give contradictory orders to different sections of the ship. But the real attack came from James Park and a team of 12 humans who specialized in close combat. They did not try to breach the hull where the ship expected attacks. Instead, they found the waste disposal ports and entered through the sewage systems. The Vorthak had never considered that enemies might attack through their garbage. Their security systems were not designed to monitor waste disposal. By the time the first alarm sounded, the humans were already deep inside the ship. James Park's team moved through the Vorthak ship like a virus. They did not try to fight the crew directly. Instead, they sabotaged life support systems, planted explosives in critical areas, and turned the ship's own security systems against the crew. When Vorthak guards came to investigate problems in one section, the humans had already moved to a different area. When the crew tried to seal off compromised areas, they found that their own blast doors had been rigged to explode. Marcus led a second team through the ventilation systems. They carried chemical weapons that Dr. Kozlov had designed specifically for Vorthak biology. The aliens' superior technology could not protect them from poison gas that attacked their respiratory systems. The Vorthak began to panic. Their sensors showed enemies everywhere, but their security forces could not find them. Their communication systems carried contradictory orders from officers who were supposed to be dead. Their life support systems failed randomly, and their weapons turned on their own crew. Commander Thaxel of the Vorthak had fought in hundreds of battles across 3 millennia. He had seen every form of warfare the galaxy could produce. But this was something different. Something wrong. "Report," he commanded his tactical officer. "Unknown, Commander," came the reply. "Sensors detect enemy forces in 17 different locations, but visual confirmation shows nothing. Security teams report being attacked by invisible enemies. Engineering reports that our own systems are attacking us." Thaxel studied the tactical displays. The patterns made no sense. These enemies did not fight for territory or strategic positions. They seemed to attack randomly, targeting systems that had no military value. Food processing, waste management, environmental controls. What kind of warriors attacked garbage systems? "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the enemy." "Put it through." The main screen filled with the image of a human male. He was sitting calmly in what appeared to be the ship's main computer core, surrounded by Vorthak technology that he had obviously disabled. "I am Marcus Rivera," the human said. "I represent Earth's response to your war." Thaxel leaned forward. The human looked small and weak compared to a Vorthak warrior, but he was somehow inside the most secure area of the ship. "You cannot win," Thaxel said. "We have superior technology, superior numbers, superior strategy." Marcus smiled. "You have superior everything except one thing. You have rules. You fight with honor and follow military protocols. You think warfare is about winning battles. What else would it be about?" "Survival," Marcus replied. "Humans do not fight to win battles. We fight to eliminate threats. We do not care about honor or protocols or fair fights. We care about making sure our enemies cannot hurt us anymore." As he spoke, explosions began echoing through the ship. The humans had planted charges in the reactor core, the weapon systems, and the command computers. But they were not trying to destroy the ship quickly. Instead, they were causing cascading, failures that would take hours to spread through all systems. "You want to know what makes humans different?" Marcus continued. "We learned to kill our own species before we learned to leave our planet. We have spent thousands of years perfecting the art of making other humans afraid. Now we are applying those skills to you." The transmission ended. Commander Thaxel tried to coordinate a response, but his ship was falling apart around him. Systems failed faster than his crew could repair them. Security forces found themselves trapped in sections that had been sealed off by their own security protocols. The worst part was the fear. The Vorthak crew had always known they were superior to other species. They had never experienced the terror of being hunted by an enemy they could not see or understand. In the end, the humans did not destroy the Vorthak command ship. The captured Vorthak command ship drifted in space like a dead whale. Its hull was intact, but every system inside had been systematically destroyed or corrupted. The humans had not just defeated the crew, they had turned the ship into a monument to fear. Marcus Rivera stood in what had been the ship's command center, now a maze of destroyed computers and emergency lighting. Around him, his team was finishing their work. They were not looting or celebrating. They were making sure their message would be understood. Dr. Kozlov was in the medical bay, studying Vorthak physiology with the enthusiasm of a child with new toys. She had discovered that the ancient species felt pain in ways that were completely different from other galactic races. This information would be very useful for future encounters. Anna Walsh had taken control of the ship's manufacturing systems. Before destroying them, she had programmed them to create thousands of small devices that looked like Vorthak technology, but were actually bombs. These would be scattered across space for other Vorthak ships to find. James Park was in the weapons storage area, learning how Vorthak energy weapons worked. Not so he could use them, but so he could teach other humans how to turn them against their creators. Every weapon had weaknesses, and James was very good at finding weaknesses. The most disturbing work was being done by Maria Santos. She had found the ship's cultural database and was studying Vorthak psychology. She was learning their fears, their social structures, and their deepest beliefs. This information would allow the humans to wage psychological warfare on a scale the galaxy had never seen. Major Harrison arrived on the captured ship 12 hours after the battle ended. He came with a team of alien investigators who wanted to understand how the humans had succeeded where the galaxy's finest warriors had failed. The alien team was led by Commander Vexhai, whose wounds had been treated but whose pride had not healed. He walked through the destroyed corridors with growing horror, seeing how the humans had turned every system against its creators. "This is not warfare," he said, examining a section where the humans had used the ship's own security robots to kill Vorthak crew members. "This is butchery." Marcus looked up from a tactical display he was studying. "This is results. Your people are alive. Our enemies are not. Everything else is philosophy." "You use their children against them," Vexhai accused, pointing to a section where human psychological warfare had driven young Vorthak crew members to attack their own officers. "You turned families into weapons." "Their children were trying to kill us," Dr. Kozlov replied calmly. "Age does not matter when someone is shooting at you." The alien investigators documented everything they found, but their reports would be classified at the highest levels. What the humans had done aboard the Vorthak ship was so far outside acceptable warfare that most galactic species would refuse to believe it was possible, but the results could not be denied. For the first time, in the war, a major Vorthak asset had been captured intact. The intelligence gathered from the ship's computers would give the galactic forces a massive advantage in future battles. More importantly, the psychological impact was spreading throughout the Vorthak fleet. The humans had not just defeated their enemies, they had made them afraid. Fear was something the ancient species had not experienced in thousands of years. The war began to change after the capture of the command ship. Vorthak forces started retreating from systems they had easily conquered. Their attack patterns became cautious and defensive. They began using resources to protect themselves instead of attacking new targets. But the humans were not finished. They had learned how to hurt the Vorthak, and they intended to use that knowledge. Over the next 6 months, human teams infiltrated dozens of Vorthak facilities. They did not try to destroy them with massive battles. Instead, they used sabotage, psychological warfare, and terror tactics that left the ancient species confused and frightened. Anna Walsh designed computer viruses that made Vorthak ships attack each other. James Park trained other humans to fight using captured Vorthak weapons and tactics. Dr. Kozlov developed biological agents that caused Vorthak crew members to become violently ill without dying, creating chaos aboard their ships. The most effective weapon was Maria Santos's psychological warfare program. She had learned to broadcast messages that exploited the deepest fears of Vorthak culture. Ancient superstitions that the species had not thought about for millennia suddenly became tools of terror in human hands. The galactic forces began to win battles they had never expected to survive. But the victory came at a cost that many species found difficult to accept. Commander Vexhai was present at the Battle of Proxima 7, where a combined human-alien force destroyed an entire Vorthak fleet. He watched human fighters board enemy ships and emerge hours later, leaving behind vessels full of dead or insane crew members. "They are becoming something inhuman," he reported to the Galactic Council. "The humans we recruited were criminals and killers, but what they are becoming is worse. They are learning to enjoy this." The Council faced a terrible dilemma. The humans were winning the war, but they were using methods that violated every principle of civilized warfare. If they continued, the galaxy might be saved from the Vorthak threat, but at the cost of its moral foundation. Dr. Kozlov was working in her laboratory aboard a converted transport ship when Major Harrison came to see her. She was developing new weapons based on Vorthak biology, chemicals that would cause the ancient species to experience specific types of pain and terror. "The war is almost over," Harrison told her. "The Vorthak are retreating to their home systems. The Council is planning a final assault." Dr. Kozlov looked up from her work. "And then what? We go back to being criminals?" "You go back to being free," Harrison replied. "That was the agreement." "Free to do what?" Dr. Kozlov asked. "Free to use everything we have learned here. Free to apply these new skills to human targets." Harrison had not thought about this. The humans had learned to fight an alien species using methods that no one had imagined, but those same methods could be used against human enemies. The galaxy's deadliest humans had become something even more dangerous. The final battle took place in the Vorthak home system. Ancient worlds that had existed since the galaxy was young were defended by the last remnants of the species' military forces. The galactic fleet arrived expecting a desperate last stand. Instead, they found empty planets and abandoned ships. The Vorthak had fled their own home system rather than face the human forces. Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the lead ship, looking at worlds that had once held billions of the galaxy's oldest inhabitants. The humans had won the war without fighting a single major battle. They had simply made their enemies too afraid to fight. "It is finished," Commander Vex-High said. "The Vorthak are gone. The galaxy is safe." Marcus nodded, but he was thinking about what Dr. Kozlov had said. The war was over, but the humans who had fought it were forever changed. They had learned skills and developed methods that made them more dangerous than any species in the galaxy. The victory celebration on Kepler Station was smaller than expected. The alien warriors who had survived the war were uncomfortable celebrating, alongside the humans who had saved them. They understood that their rescuers were also their greatest potential threat. Colonel Chen arrived from Earth to oversee the return of the human forces. She had monitored their activities throughout the war and understood what had happened to them. They had been killers when they left Earth. Now they were something else entirely. "What will you do now?" she asked Marcus as they prepared for the journey home. "We have kept our part of the agreement," Marcus replied. "The galaxy is safe. Our people are free." "That is not what I asked." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. "We are what you made us. What the galaxy asked for. You wanted Earth's deadliest humans, and we became exactly that." "The pardons still stand," Chen said. "You can start new lives anywhere you choose." "Can we?" Dr. Kozlov asked, joining the conversation. "Can we really go back to normal lives, after what we have learned, after what we have become?" The truth was that none of them could go back. They had spent months learning to be more effective killers than anyone in the galaxy. They had developed skills and knowledge that made their previous crimes seem like childish pranks. The galaxy had asked for Earth's deadliest humans and had gotten exactly what it requested. But it had also created something new, humans who had learned to be inhuman in ways that other species could not imagine. As the transport ships prepared to leave for Earth, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He gathered the human team and made them an offer. "We can go back to Earth and pretend this never happened," he said, "or we can stay together and use what we have learned." "For what purpose?" James Park asked. "The galaxy is full of threats," Marcus replied. "The Vorthak were just the first. There will be others. And when they come, the galaxy will need people who can do what others cannot." Most of the humans chose to stay. They had found something in the war that they had never had before, a purpose that matched their abilities. They were no longer criminals hiding from society. They were guardians protecting everything that existed. The Galactic Council passed emergency legislation limiting human